Good afternoon, Mr. Sanjeev Tripathi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ramesh.
Nice to be at your office on the 12th February 2014. Mr. Tripathi, tell me on the issue of safety, highway safety, vehicle safety, cargo safety, what kind of measures you are taking with regard to your own drivers?
Well, safety is of paramount concern to us, and especially in the scenario where all the major manufacturers are putting a lot of emphasis on the safety aspect. We have decided that the preventive measures which we were taking earlier, we want to fine-tune it with the requirement or customize it with the requirements of the clients. For instance, a client like Toyota puts very much emphasis on the aspects of night driving, because they feel that once you are driving all through the night, you are bound to get fatigued, and the chances of accidents happening or mishaps happening is very high. So based on the assessment and the analysis of the trailers which we have and also the drivers, we have a kind of modulated new module for them, for specifically for clients like Toyota and Honda. Rest of the other clients also, we try and incorporate their requirements. For instance, Maruti and recently even the Tata Motors have been emphasizing on the needs of safety and mishap avoidance. So in continuation with what we were doing earlier, which was kind of preventing measures, the preventive measures were something like the drivers were briefed about the do's and don'ts of the driving, the things which they should take care of. And for instance, recently one of our trailers met with an accident near Nagpur while it was coming from Toyota. So the incident happened because a bunch of Nilgais were crossing the road, and the driver was driving at a very nominal speed of around 45 kilometers per hour. It was in the early hours of the morning, around 6:30 in the morning. But then they came in a bunch and they crossed the road suddenly, and the driver, even though he applied the brakes, he couldn't control the trailer, and it just went out on the other side of the road, and it turned turtle. So, yeah, the trailer. And luckily the driver nothing happened to the driver. He survived. But in situation like this, there are certain things which we feel and we analyze that should have been done. So because we just checked the analysis of the route, and what we found was the driver, prior to the site of the accident, he was driving for almost 2 hours at a stretch, and earlier to that, he was driving for almost 11 hours during the daytime. So the fatigue was bound to happen at some point of the time or the other. Had he been more alert, I think he would have saved that particular trailer. But anyway,
I'm sure all your vehicles have GPS. So while you capture the data, it's not been actually it is not being monitored very closely.
Well, it's not monitored 24/7. Though we monitor it till 10 o'clock in the night, and especially for Toyota and Honda vehicles, it's monitored all through the night. But sometimes it happens that since we do not have a dedicated team for that, what we have decided is that we are going to have a kind of control room where all the vehicles are monitored for night driving and speed violations.
When is it going to come up?
Well, it will take another 3 months, because we are recruiting people from outside who have got expertise in that, and we are also tying up with the service providers also. So,
okay, what are the do's and don'ts?
Well, the do's and don'ts are that at a stretch, one should not drive for more than 3 hours. Because once you drive beyond, because the experiments and the results have shown that if you drive beyond 3 hours at a stretch, and especially if it is hot or if it is too cold, your body is going to give up. So the signs of fatigue would definitely come, and it will affect your driving, and it will affect your reaction time, which is very important. So we are telling all our drivers to be very cautious And please, we are telling that even if the transit time pressure to unload is very high, you should avoid driving from 11 in the night till 5 in the morning.
Is there any moratorium, Mercurio Pallia Logistics has set up for drivers not to drive after 11?
There is, it's all part of the briefing which the branch manager or the people at the loading point, they tell the driver. But it's not a kind of moratorium. But what we are planning is that there should be a kind of moratorium as well as kind of penalty inbuilt. Because some of the companies, they penalize the drivers for driving during the night. But then, operationally speaking, the situation is very difficult because all our trailers are passing through Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. And these states, especially during daytime, if you are driving, you are bound to get caught by the RTOs and the police and so many other things. So what we are doing is that we are telling our drivers that you drive up to a certain point, and then once you enter UP or some other state where there is a problem, you just stop your vehicle and try and drive during the night time up to 11, and so that you should make up for the lost time earlier rather than stretching it, because we are also accountable to our clients for the.
What are the safe driving hours to escape from the clutches of this highway vultures?
Well, the safe driving hours are from 5 in the morning. I'm talking about the winter season.
Yeah, we are basically talking about UP and Madhya Pradesh. That's where you said it's a big challenge for vehicles to move. Because of this RTO challenges.
Yeah.
So in these two states, what is the safest time for commercial vehicles to pass along?
The safest time for commercial vehicles to pass is from 5 in the morning to say around 10, 11 in the morning, and then again from say 4, 5 in the evening to up to 11, 10, 11, or if most of the people are driving all through the night. So, but these.
What you're trying to say is during these particular safe hours, the RTOs do not hang around on the highways. What you're trying to say?
Yes, that's what I mean. And
all RTOs, even the commercial tax officers.
Commercial tax officers, goons, and the police also, the traffic police. There are so many factors affecting the.
What about the local people? Because I keep hearing that in Maharashtra,
it's a big problem.
A lot of the locals, just barge on the road, stop the vehicle, beat, loot.
Yeah.
What is your own experience with you? What is the experience of your own drivers when they pass through Maharashtra, apart from UP and MP?
We are facing the same. Our drivers, earlier it was not there, but the frequency has increased over the past one and a half years. And especially if the trailers going via NH13 from Dhulia onwards towards Karnataka, these kind of situations, arise all of a sudden. And recently, about a couple of days back, one of our drivers were looted by goons on a Scorpio. It was near Temburni in Maharashtra.
Okay.
Temburni in Maharashtra. These are a day-to-day occurrence.
How do you tackle such a party?
Well, most of the trailers are loaded. So if the driver, if a situation of this kind of has happened, the driver reports to us that this has happened. If the money involved, if the things involved are on a lower scale, we normally do not ask the driver to go to a police station and lodge an FIR, because lodging an FIR or reporting is a big challenge, a big hassle, because police are not that compliant. So basically we advise them to go there if it is a serious situation. Otherwise they just drive around and we make up for the loss. So
what do you mean serious? How would you define seriousness?
Seriousness in the sense that the driver was stabbed, the driver was kidnapped for money. Sometimes it has also happened, or the trailer itself was looted. Not ours, but then I have heard that a few of the transporters have lost the cars loaded on the trailers. This kind of situation has arisen, and diesel and the advances which the driver get, it is also part of the extraction.
Your company doesn't have any security officer in terms of who really beyond the branch managers trains them, tells them how to handle all those issues?
Well, specifically there is no such person, but then the driver trainer who's there in Rewari at our Gurgaon place, he basically briefs them about the road hazards, especially in Maharashtra and the troubled areas. So he briefs the drivers, but then there is no specific person or the security. But these kind of situations are bound to happen anywhere. I'm talking about Maharashtra. These also happen in Assam and West Bengal. I mean, not of the same kind, but similar situations.
Yeah, Mr. Tripathi, at the end of the day, you are all service providers.
Yeah.
And you are basically carrying the vehicle of very well-known, reputed auto OEMs. Is it not, morally, binding on these OEMs to take it up with the respective state government to tighten the security on the highways so the cargo, moves safely? At the end of the day, they are the sufferers. See, perhaps, all the vehicles which are stolen or, dented, whatever it gets are actually insured and they can get the money back. But what has been lost is lost. It's a national loss. And it's also lead to a lot of lawlessness on the highways.
Yes.
So, how exactly you service providers are taking it up with the OEMs?
Well, we have made representations to the OEMs, but so far nothing concrete has emerged out of this. And in my view, you're correct about that. The representation should be made to the government, and the government should initiate some measures in accordance with the real situation. Because apart from the situations like this, when goons and people who are getting looted, there are other situations where many of the trailers have been held at ransom on a gunpoint, and once we have paid the money, only then it was released. Situation. So, all these things leads to lawlessness basically, and the drivers feels very unsafe while they drive through a stretch of a state. So the government must initiate some measure, of course, in connivance and in accordance with the needs. And I think OEM should take an initiative in this measure.
Since you provide pan-India service, can you name the safest state through which your vehicle says literally no problem, or if at all there are problems, they're very minor?
The safest states are Gujarat, Rajasthan, and also, apart from RTO issue, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala also. These are the safest states. And rest of the other states like MP, Madhya Pradesh, there are certain sections where you have problem issues.
Which sections?
Especially, if you start from Nagpur towards Jhansi. These are
the
troublesome area. And then if you go further towards Madhya Pradesh on this stretch, Chittorgarh and all, this is a trouble-free area. There is no such issue. And West Bengal, Assam and other northeast. Recently, two of our trailers were held at ransom by Arunachal Pradesh insurgents.
Okay, where exactly is that?
It happened somewhere, and I don't remember the exact point, but it was a border. It was Arunachal Assam border.
Okay, so you got.
We got it back through our local contacts.
Okay, how many days your vehicle was held back?
For 2 days.
2 days. The driver came back safe.
They came back safe, and but then we paid a ransom. So,
okay. So, at the end of the day, is it part of your, does it get covered by, the OEMs when they...
No. This is all, these are not inbuilt contingency in the freight structure. We don't get paid for anything like this. All we do is that our priority is to get the trailer, released. Otherwise, if you prolong the process, the more you prolong, the more you pay. So the issue is to get it released as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Mr. Tripathi, tell me, when this kind of a crisis happens on the highways at any point of time, you as a chief operating officer must be on the you cannot afford to switch off your mobile. So, what kind of a crisis, management team or system you are setting up? Because you have been with this company for almost 6-7 years, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Okay, what kind of a crisis mechanism, management team you are set up, or how do you handle a crisis of this nature? Middle of the night you get a call, because just like you saying that don't drive after 11 o'clock, many of the drivers drive. How do you manage?
See, these are all taken care by the operation people down below, and the matter only if it escalates beyond them, it comes to me. Otherwise, it is in my knowledge when I attend my day-to-day job. But then, if it escalates, something happens in the middle of the night, and if the situation warrants my intervention, then I would definitely, somebody would give me a call, and I would then take it on from there. So basically, people down below are managing everything, including all these day-to-day thefts, robberies, and all these things. Because as a matter of fact, I mean, whatever we have been trying to do to prevent such occurrence, something or the other keeps on happening. Because the drivers sometimes they do not tell the truth, because they know that this is not a safe stretch. So if you call the operations team at the middle of the night, they'll think that something bad has happened, and you can't say that this is what is required. This much amount money of me is lost, or this much diesel he has lost on some pretext or the other. So they also try to take some advantage out of it, but then you have to be on your toes. And these people, the operation people here and in the branches, they are, I mean, on their toes all through the day and night. And especially for me, if the situation warrants my intervention, then I'm involved all through the night. And recently it happened that two of our prime movers were taken away from here. One was loaded, when one was empty, detached from the trolleys, and they were taken to a place called Etawa in UP.
Okay.
And from there we were receiving the ransom call that you deposit this much money in our accounts and you get back your prime movers.
Mm-hmm. It happened in daylight or the night they must have
They must have hold it in the night, and they just took it away, and they had beaten up the drivers also.
Okay, how did you get it sorted out?
It's sorted out. I mean, then I had to intervene. Then I spoke to the police chief and all. Then finally, and an FIR was registered. Once the FIR was registered, then the police started, putting pressure on them, because we had received call from certain numbers. Then the numbers were traced, and then, the police brought them back. But then police is not going to work unless and until, as you know, in India it's a very difficult thing to get them work. So we needed some kind of higher intervention from the higher authorities, which we did, and we managed to do it.
How long it took you to solve the problem and get your vehicles?
I think from the day it was taken away, it took around 4 days.
Okay, during that period, what kind of an assistance or help you got from the OEM concerned?
No assistance. Whenever we have spoken to the OEMs, we have got that this is your problem, you sort it out.
Okay, that's the kind of a response you get.
Yes. Okay. So we basically do not bother them now. So whatever is to be done, it is to be done from our side.
Yeah, tell me one last question, Mr.
Yeah.
Tripathi. This is about the diesel theft on the highways. I'm not talking about the alleged, stealing of diesel by the drivers themselves. People, many drivers keep complaining that when they go to sleep, they can't keep awake 24/7. Okay, when they sleep, goons come on the road, and these days there are very quiet, suction pumps are there through which they suck it out. What is your own experience with your drivers?
Well, it happens in our fleet also. This is not a rare occurrence. It keeps on happening every 6th or 7th day.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but then we tell our drivers that do not park your trailers at an isolated place or a dhaba where you normally do not go. So, because once you go to a dhaba regularly or a place where you park regularly, it's not going to happen. It only happens where it is an isolated stretch or a dhaba where people go seldomly.
So what you are trying to say is, the dhaba guys might be...
Yeah, they are involved.
Taking the diesel out.
They are involved.
So those dhabas have been identified across India, because you are again a pan-India company?
Yeah, some of the dhabas have been identified, especially...
Which particular states?
Very high? Yeah, some of them are in UP, some of them are in this MP, and few of them are towards east.
Okay. So your drivers have been very clearly told not to halt at these dhabas.
No. Yeah, and some of them are in Maharashtra as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What kind of a safety drill or safety training? And suppose your vehicle meets with an accident, and something happens to a driver, hand broken, whatever it is, blood. All your vehicles carry a first aid box, or is it stuff? If the box is there, is it stuff?
We do provide, but then it is difficult to keep no track of the replenishment, because once it is used, you have to replenish it. So some of the trailers, they come back after 2 or 3 months. It will be replenished only in Gurgaon.
Why don't it be done at every branch office? Why don't you say state and liberate it?
Well, it can be done at the major branches, not all the branches, because not all the branches are equipped with this, because they have got limited manpower. So, but then this is a good suggestion. In fact, we will be doing this, because once an emergency situation comes, a driver gets injured or some kind of accident happens, the first aid is the best way to make sure that things do not deteriorate further. And once that happens, and if we call the nearest branch location, the person goes from there to the site, and then recently a driver met with an accident in Pune, and the guy was seriously injured. So we sent a person from the Pune office. He picked them up, hospitalized them. Unfortunately, we lost the driver after 1 month. But yeah, we made he had a series of operations performed on him. But
how old was he?
I think he was around 50.
Okay, elderly man. He has been with the company for quite a long time?
Yeah, is
the next generation also working with you guys?
Not his son-in-law was there, but I think he'll be coming back again to us.
Okay. When this kind of a thing happens, how exactly you compensate the family or you help the family who has lost the breadwinner?
Yeah. Our first thing is that, whatever the cost of hospitalization is, we pay for that, whatever it is. And the second thing is that we try and support the family in the initial few months. Then later on, we try and give them a lump sum compensation. It's not fixed, but it's quite contributory and quite substantial.
The drivers also contribute?
The drivers also contribute, the company also contribute, the employees also contribute.
Okay, all of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then now what we are thinking is that we are going to have the medical insurance and the life insurance done for all the drivers.
Drivers?
Yes, all the drivers.
Okay.
Earlier it was only for a limited few. Now we are going to do this coming this April, and will also be in direct, because once this is done, we will be directly contacting the medical health facilities en route where the trader is applying for a free of cost treatment.
Okay.
Cashless treatment. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tripathi.
Thank you.